Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what's going on? See, I see you rearranged some things there. I'm seeing.
Yeah, I rebuilt my whole desk today. So I'm not even joking you, bro. I literally, when I logged in with you, I was having like maybe 20 minutes to finish all this up, and everything was not working. The camera didn't want to work. The microphone didn't want to work. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me today. This is like worst case scenario was happening.
Always happens ahead of time, just before you do a show. Absolutely, absolutely.
I've been working on this desk all day long since I got back from church.
I got you.
And
I got you.
Because what I did, and I'm still waiting for parts, is I'm mounting my PC under my desk now. So I have all this room right here to work with.
Right.
But the problem with that is the instructions came in Japanese from Amazon.
And your point is you don't speak Japanese. You can speak and read Greek, but you can't read Japanese. I find that hard to believe.
You've reached your limit on talking.
We just got started.
Fuck up.
Well, David got his first one at 30 seconds into the show before. So are you surprised you got one right now?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, this has been like I won't say a nightmare. Actually, I can't say it. No, it was a nightmare trying to rebuild this desk again. I'm not even done yet. This is one out of two ports because I was doing the math, bro. I already have this desk. And to cost me to convert a couple of things I want to change, like making this a standing desk, putting on stuff, it'd be cheaper for me just buy the parts separately than buying a new desk. The one I was looking into was Science Lab, I think it's or Secret Lab.
Yeah. When it comes to branding, I mean, that's where they really get you. I mean, if you can get a lot of the parts to something, or if even something's known by something else, a lot of the price you pay has nothing to do with the value of the product. It's all about the brand, the label that you put on it. So yes, a lot of times it's better just to get the parts for yourself. That's why back in the day I used to build, towers, PCs and whatnot, because I'm going to spend, for Dell or Gateway what they were charging for a system, and I can get it for like half the price, building it myself. So I used to really be into that back in the day. But so I want to thank the guys who came in tonight. So again, we got our guy Anton, certainly a loyal follower to the Black Man Unfiltered Network and to our shows. Salute to you being here. My man Eric is in the building. I appreciate you being here as well. And yeah, man, just make sure as you come in, again, hit the like button on both channels if you can, and also consider again dropping a Cash App, certainly to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Also, we have our own individual Cash Apps. Certainly, we'd appreciate any love that you want to give to us. You can certainly drop it here to our individual Cash App. So we appreciate you guys being here tonight.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, let's get into this a little bit. Let's get into this topic. So, is this another topic by Mrs. Casadino? I'm just saying, what was the so I want to kind of get your thoughts. Like, what was the motive, I guess, behind the topic? What direction you think she was trying to go in?
I didn't get a chance to see her today because she was a little busy because they had a special guest speaker last night through the day because it was like once a year they bring a special guest speaker and they have a gathering and everybody. I couldn't make it, but two fun facts. Fact number one, I'm not sure about other religions, but I can only speak for me, us. Father Costino had a time finally, after a month and a half, I think, to bless Apollo. So you can bring him inside the church, but at least it was outside. He comes outside with his trapatili and his hat. But he said, "Listen, I'm gonna bless you, dog, but I'm not wearing that hat. It's too cold. I'm gonna wear my little fufu." He had a little Russian hat he was wearing.
Yeah. So pet blessing is a thing in the Orthodox Church.
Yeah, it is. Don't bring. Wow. I just learned this myself. To be honest, this is something new that I did not know. I learned it literally a couple of days after Alexander passed away. And that was I looked at him like, "That's a thing." He goes, "Believe it or not, it is actually." The only thing you cannot bring him in a church. He says, like I can bless him outside. You come to the church outside the church. I can do it right outside, like blessing the car. He goes, you can't bring the car in the church to bless it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I
Almost
know
cool.
with some of my Asian Indian friends, I don't know about the dog thing, but it just reminded me of. I know there is a tradition in a lot of the Hindu
Hmm.
temples and whatnot where any kind of blessings that you get materially, you could basically take to the temple to kind of receive a blessing on. So let's say if you just bought yourself like a new Mercedes or something like that, if you take it to the temple, you'll have one of the persons there. They'll do a blessing for a fee, of course, but certainly that is something that, and they may not call it that. I don't want to be too callous with it, but again, usually you go there, you always come with gifts, so to speak. And so I know people will sometimes take their artifacts certainly to the temples for blessing.
Hmm.
And you just reminded me of that when you were talking about it's the blessing for Apollo. So yeah, that's interesting. I never heard of that before in any religion as far as the blessing of an animal like that. But
Yeah, it was new for me too. I didn't know that was actually a thing. To be 100% honest with you, bro. But when I found out it was a thing, I'm like, oh, interesting. Something I did not know. New. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I take it, bro. Like, any blessing I can get, I take it because things can go crooked very fast, and we all know that in life.
Mhm.
I'm like, look at you with your hair. You lost the hair.
Yeah, I lost the hair, but I adopted I like the look, and it's certainly cheaper, than
Oh, absolutely, because on Tuesday, no, Wednesday, I get after the fire at work, I found out our VP's coming to and coming in, and I was like, oh shit! Like first I got a fire in the kitchen, and now I definitely want to look presentable. Like I was way overdue for a haircut. I go, all right, something I can sacrifice, zzz, and I just get myself a quick haircut.
Mhm.
It's cheaper.
Mhm.
It only cost me 0.99.
Yeah. You don't think you look younger with it too? I think it just makes you look younger with
What
that
shaved
kind of.
head?
Yeah.
Um, it does. I think. That's why I've been doing the buzz cut lately. To be honest with you,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it
I'm
gives you a
always gonna keep
character.
the beard. The beards are always gonna be on me. Like maybe I'm not gonna go as long as I did in the past, but at times I want to go back to long beard because it just makes me. This part of me
Mm.
says, "Man," you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
hell,
Well, interesting. Shout out to our guy Craig from the UK. As Amir's Peter gotten shorter. Ouch. So he's coming. He's coming in with guns blazing already.
oh yeah, I got bigger guns than you, buddy. Here in the
I'm barely
UK.
hearing. I'm barely hearing in the rat because I didn't hear the full audio of that. So you might want to work on that a little bit. It was kind of muffled a little bit when I was playing
Really?
when you were playing it. But in any event, but yeah, man, let's get into this a little bit. So I guess I want to hear from your side here because, like I said, I wasn't sure what context we were taking this in, and shout out to BMU for the slide deck showing, I guess, me, and I guess that's a representation of my wife, and you have the two ladies on each arm. So I
I'll
guess
take it.
the topic tonight is again the religious tradition versus secular life. Want to kind of get into what do you think that means in terms of what does secular mean to you, and when you talk about religious tradition, what does that mean to you? Because I may have some different views on that
Mhm.
that I've certainly adopted in recent years. Where like a lot of times I don't kind of look at things in the same sort of black and white perspective that I did before. But I want to get your perspective on, and again, thank you to Mrs. Casadino for bringing up the topic. But what were your thoughts when the subject was first dropped to you? What were your initial thoughts about it?
I was thinking back really. Oh, when she was dropping all these gems at me, I was getting a little dropped a little bit, to be honest with you guys. Um,
You were getting a
this
what?
isn't. I was surprised. She was like,
Hmm.
when she grabbed my phone, she just started throwing all this content at me. Like I was surprised, how involved she got. But I'm not in the same time because a little bit of her backstory is her father was a priest
Hmm.
in Allentown. He's retired now. But he still volunteers here and there, help out with the Greek community.
Right.
And I don't know if it's a calling or that's how she grew up, but she gravitated to Father Costantino, who was becoming a priest.
Hmm.
I find that very fascinating.
Mm.
So the question is to all of us right now: is it tradition or is it a lifestyle now? Can you agree on that with me so far?
Again, I need a little more context. Break that down for me, some.
So okay, so for her, she grew up on it. So that could
Hmm.
be tradition for her. You know, a wife marries a priest. You know, her daughter, if she was a daughter's priest, she ended up marrying a priest.
Hmm.
She the tradition, one goes, kind of like the kings, for example, right? A king always marries usually another person in the royal family, another royal family. Back in the day, I'm talking about now, not
Hmm. Yeah.
current time.
Yeah.
That was just a tradition back in the day.
Right.
Now it's different. But her to live this certain way of life, going to church every Sunday, doing the we call it fasting, but it's really a vegan fast. Meaning
Hmm.
you eat your normal meals, but you just become a vegan. That's one. Going to like for myself, I'll give you my example. I took a break from the church for a little bit because of
Hmm.
not good choices, bad choices. I'm
Hmm.
hanging out with the wrong people.
Hmm.
She didn't get that break. She went straight through from her childhood all the way to her adulthood.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And we had some great, great conversations, me and her.
Hmm.
Very fascinating conversation. I'm looking like, you're a priest's daughter? He goes, yeah. You're married to your father cousin? I'm like, yep. But again, she always reminds me of this. We are human too, end of the day. Big thing. So you have your sins, you have your downfalls. Nobody's perfect.
Hmm.
And I go to her, you got a good point. You got a very good point there. I can't argue that.
Right. 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 So this is someone who grew up in obviously a religious household, and certainly based on her upbringing, she decided to stay within the confines of her, I guess, of the world she knew, and married again a priest. So again, very familiar, and it makes sense. If you're going to marry, I guess for anybody who's in a ministerial kind of role, obviously marrying someone who has an understanding, because at least from the Protestant side, from what I'm seeing, is that it's not an easy lifestyle. Especially the type of church I belong to, it's an Episcopal see. It's very similar to like the Catholic Church, where you basically your life is not your own, so you can get assigned, for example, to wherever they decide to send you. So you might be at a church, you might be assigned to pastor a church, and they can say, "Up, we're going to move you over here." Either hopefully within the local area that you're at, sometimes out of the area, sometimes out of the country. But that's kind of one of the things that you take on when you decide, if you decide you really want to go through all of this and sort of get to the end, you basically dedicate your life to that of the church that you're pledging to. So you're basically putting your life in their hands. And oftentimes I've seen the problem sometimes is if your woman is not fully 100% supportive, it can be very stressful, because you're talking about, especially once you have kids and you're like, okay, well, they're assigning me to another state or another area. So moms, they start talking about, well, what about our jobs? What about the kids? What about the schools that they're in? So it's almost like you become like an army brat or a military brat, but in a religious context. And I've seen couples kind of move from place to place like that, depending on, you might be in a place for a few years. New leadership and administration comes in, they decide to do something different, and you have to basically, be ready to have your life kind of, turned upside down. I've seen people, split up over that, but certainly someone who's grown up in the tradition, at the very least, they would certainly have an understanding. And so, sure with Father Casadino, just the responsibilities that he had and whatnot, having a wife who had a father who went through that same thing, you would think it'd be easier in that context to want to be with someone who comes from that background. So I can totally get it from that sense. And growing up in that tradition, that gives her a sense of comfort. It gives her a sense of security. Kind of knowing that her husband is kind of following in that same vein. So in that context, I can see how it makes sense. But I guess, yeah.
This one thing we do have similar in what you guys do in the Greeks, the Greek Orthodox Church. He's assigned there. He's not originally from this area, Father
Yeah,
Constantino.
yeah.
He's originally, if you remember, he said in our interview, he's originally from. I don't know if he actually said. I don't think he said actually. He's
No,
originally
I
from
don't
the
recall.
Philly area,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, he's an Eagles fan. Oh, like so. Do I need to say more?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I was joking aside. Actually, the funny part, you might like his wife because she's a Steeler fan. So I wonder how
Okay,
that
I
was.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I wonder how those
Absolutely.
conversations go in that household.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's originally from the Philly area. He studied in Arab Boston. He told me.
Hmm.
Great. So his first real assignment as a priest was Strasbourg.
Hmm.
He became, from my understanding, I may be wrong. I think he became a priest here right before he was fully assigned. Um, Great. But he doesn't know where he can be moved next. He's been here 6 years, but they can whip him out of here at any moment, put him somewhere else,
Hmm.
and that is a risk, I guess you want to call it. I wouldn't want to live like that, to be honest with you. I understand that you sign up for it, like the military, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a life dedication, and that's
Yeah.
why. Because I know, like, for anybody who wants to be a minister in mind, it's like you're examined. You go before this board of examiners, and they're going to question you about basically, saying, "Look, are you sure you want to do this? Were you in fact called to this?" And they want to know about what that experience was like, and so they really kind of grill you before they present you. And there's this, I don't know all the deets, but there's like a process. They actually tried to get me to do it one time, but I told them I wasn't called, so I wasn't looking to do that. But certainly, yeah, it is a sacrifice to live again, because again, you have no control over your life, and you're living under their auspices. And it's like I said, if he could tomorrow, they could say, you know what, we want to move you back to Philly. That can happen, and then next week you could have a new pastor, a new priest. So so those things are, and I've seen how it affects congregations, because sometimes it comes out of nowhere. Um, and
It's funny you said that, and
yeah.
I love Father Constantino to the death. When they say I would take a bullet for somebody, I'll take a bullet for that man on heartbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So with Father, a lot of people are not a huge fan of him
mm,
because he calls it as like it is.
mm,
So, and I am, what's the word for call that? I'm the rebel in there
mm,
because I tell him like I have told somebody to literally go fuck themselves from where he's at. Not, I wasn't inside church. I was not even on church properties. We were actually having coffee, or a bunch of us further
mm,
down. So he's just like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. I looked at him like, hey, do me a favor, old man. He goes, yeah, go fuck yourself. I went to him in front of
mm,
everybody, and everybody was shocked. I said that, like, why? You guys act like you're angels, but you're not. You guys curse.
mm,
Let's be straight here, bro. Let's call it
mm,
how it is.
mm,
You act like you don't curse. Come on now.
mm,
You act like you're like angel. You're talking crap about somebody who actually done a very very good job turning this place around.
mm,
The last priest, I didn't like him. That's another reason why I didn't go. I remember he come blessing the house, and his name was Father Theodore. The only thing he looked at is my mom's wallet. That's what he
mm.
cared.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. No, like he was really pushing us to become a member, and
Mm,
membership it's money on that.
mm,
But when Father Costino goes, you don't have to be a member. He goes, absolutely not. He goes, you can come whenever you want. Like I know that. Like he was
mm,
pushing it.
mm.
Money is not a obstacle for Father.
Yeah.
Is actually doing the work of Christ is more obstacle because that's challenging. Let's be honest here. What they do is not an easy job. Let's
Mm,
call it how it is, Paul.
yeah.
Like me personally, I could never do that job. I know that.
Yeah.
And Father had hinted and like, yeah, you've been changing your ways. Maybe you should think I changed a career. I know I'm good. I'm good. I am good.
Mm,
I remember one time he had no altar boys. He goes, you want to come back here and help me? He goes like, I'm a little too old to be an altar boy or a father. I'm like, okay, ultra man, ultra what do you call it? Ultra old man. I'm like, okay, I take the old man part of it.
Mhm.
So I'm getting putting the black robe on and everything. He goes, it fits you, Peter. Panayotis, he calls me. It fits you, but I'm like, don't even think about it. I went to him.
Mhm.
I cut him off before he put in that
Mhm.
sentence. Don't even think about it.
Well,
You gotta
if
go use
listen, I don't know. Do they have like you do your first trial sermon? Because usually in my church they'll have anybody has accepts a call. They got to do like their first trial sermon or whatever. So if you ever do that, I'm coming. I don't care what I'm doing. I want to see you up in the pulpit. I'm coming to that, and we're filming it live too. So I would definitely look forward to that.
Imagine
But
calling me Father Panayoti.
hey, I'd pay money to see that. so
Oh,
I would definitely that would be certainly something to see. One acknowledge I got Anton with the $10 super chat. It says I have a cousin in my family that is a priest. Cool. He presided over a few weddings, baptism, and a few funerals. He took sacrament of holy orders over 35 years ago. Salute to him for doing that. I guess the way I'm looking at it, and like I said, where I've really kind of come to terms over the last few years, is that I find myself, so again, just based on the title, right? Religious tradition versus secular life. I'm starting to see in certain areas like there's a graying for me. Like I've become a lot less religious over the years. There's certain things I just don't participate. Like I don't do Lent, right? I rarely fast, and I mean it's like if I fast, it's because like there's something urgent that I'm needing focus and I'm needing direction on, and I'm willing to kind of like go into a certain mindset for a period of time, like I'm basically seeking God in a particular way. But again, even when it comes to certain holidays or just traditions or whatever, dress like some people, if you grew up in church or whatnot, it was like okay, you had your Sunday suit, or you always wore a suit to church. I've stopped doing that years ago. Wearing a suit. I dress nice. I dress respectful. I dress clean. I don't come in shabby like that. But just a lot of things that are tied to tradition. It's like I no longer sign up for anymore, because the more I read and the more I study, it's like a lot of these sort of traditions really don't have a lot of value, at least for me. Now, I know for some people, I think having a religious tradition or whatever, it gives you structure, it gives you direction, it gives you focus, and certainly it gives you something to, like I said, it gives you purpose to kind of have that kind of lifestyle. And I don't want to take away from people who have a religious type of lifestyle, especially if they come from like a bad, background, if they were like very violent or lustful or just out in the world just doing whatever they wanted, and now they've adopted this new kind of structured life for themselves. I'm not going to knock it, especially because in some instances it could very well have saved their life from where they were going. And I know for me, when I became more serious about my faith, I was in an auto accident that nearly took me out. And so that was the wake up call that I needed, sort of to start thinking about some things. And like anything else, it's like when you first get into it, you're very religious, not wanting to make a mistake, not wanting to be so rigid with how you're doing. But then at the end of the day, when you start thinking about what is really, and again, I know typically on this show, we don't talk about religion a lot. So again, if this, just because of the title of the show, if we go into a little bit more than we normally do, that's not really what we do. We tend to stay away from religion, and we also tend to stay away from politics. But if it comes up, we try to have a respectful dialogue and conversation about it. But for me, it's like a lot of the religion, it feels almost like training wheels to an extent. But if you have a certain sense of self-control or discipline, you don't need religion in your life. It's not gonna really help you in terms of, from my point of view, what is God wanting from us? In fact, we that was actually in the sermon today, is to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Does it then matter what you wear, or if I wear a cross or not, or if I, like I said, just take on certain traditions in a particular denomination or not? I find myself stripped away. So my faith has gotten very simplified over the years. And there's just a lot of traditions that even the church does. I just respectfully, if they need me to help, as far as to conduct it, I will. Recently, I know that the church, they started giving ashes, just like I know that the Catholics. So we talk about like Ash Wednesday. I know a lot of Protestant churches are doing that now. But then I was asking myself why. So I just, like I said, just certain things or certain levels of religiosity that I don't participate in anymore. And likewise on the secular end. Now, again, if you're going to define secular is basically a way of conduct of having life that does not have any focus or emphasis on God. I don't know if that's necessarily bad either if, and this is the big caveat here, if what you're doing is not in opposition to God. I know a lot of agnostics and atheists that are very moral people. A lot more than even some who would even claim a faith. And so, I'm not so, oh, well, that's secular over there, stay away from them or whatever, and stay with the religious people over there. Some of the worst people I know are very religious. And I grew up around a lot of people who were very religious, but were nasty individuals. And I'm like, if that's what your religion, or if the practice of your religion, if that's what is giving you, or that's forming how you act, and I don't want any part of it. And that was one of the reasons also why I wasn't, didn't go to church or belong to a church or any kind of faith at all until I was 24, because I saw a lot of those religious people, and I just didn't like them. So my thing is, yes, I understand what, again, having structure. And that's, I think, oftentimes what I think religion or religious traditions give you. They give you structure. So every year you have a church calendar, and there's certain things that you do. Some certain times of the year you may fast. Certain times of the year you may, whatever the activity is. And that gives you something that, holds you in. Like I said, I'm not opposed to that. But I know for me, it just became more of a restriction. This idea or this wall between religious and secular. And like I said, I just peeled a lot of it off, because it's like, it's at the end of the day, how is this helping anybody? Is it helping me to love and respect my fellow man any more or less because I observe this religious practice or not? I know a lot of people who don't drink. Now, again, I'm a lifetime teetotaler. I've never had a drink, really. The drinks I had in my life was a sip of my uncle's beer at 4 years old, and I had a bit of spike punch at a senior high school prom. I took a sip of it because they had this punch in a bowl, and it had alcohol in it. That was it. Like, I've never had a drink or never desired to say,
I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get you in a non-alcoholic beer.
I just had never had a no. Now college was really tough because everybody tried to get me to drink in college. Everybody. No, I mean, they were like, yeah.
My question is, would you ever have a non-alcoholic beer?
I don't see an issue with it, but I don't know if I would have a desire to. It's something that's like obviously. But see, the thing is, probably not. But see, the thing is, I'm not opposed to people drinking. Like, there's no sin in having a drink.
Yeah, I totally get it. But one thing I think you may have an issue with, because you're a tea guy, like you said, in Orthodox communion, they use real wine.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the wine represents blood. And
correct. Yeah.
don't know if you would have had an issue with
And
that.
I would say this. I would say this. Now, if and this is probably where the tradition comes into play, because had I grown up in an Orthodox tradition,
Mm-hmm.
then I probably wouldn't see as much of an issue with it. But see, my thing with the drinking doesn't even have to do with the church. It has to do with my father.
Oh, it's totally understandable.
Because my father, again, was a heavy drinker. And I just developed a distaste for drinking. And even when I was in college and just seeing how people just operated when they were drinking. I went to all these college parties back in college, all these college parties at the frat houses and whatnot, and just kind of seeing how everybody was just acting and moving and whatnot. And I'm like, nah, this isn't for me. If anything, all they did was confirm the choices that I made before I even went to college, and seeing all the people. I had a roommate who freshman year he came back, threw up in our dorm room.
Ew.
The stench was in our room for weeks. And I'm like, this is having a good time. So I never put myself in that position. But that's a personal conviction that I have. But I can never tell someone, oh, you shouldn't be drinking. That's against the Bible. That's against God. No, it's not. Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. So again, I'm not opposed to drinking. But I do have my own personal convictions that it's like, no, it's just something I would just rather not participate in. I've been at certain things. My wedding, they had alcohol. And they did a toast. And we did the toast with the champagne, but I didn't drink it. I lifted up my glass. We did the tipping of the glasses. I didn't consume. But it's not like I was looking down my nose at everybody saying, "Oh, I can't believe all these people are drinking wine. How dare they at my wedding?" Like that wasn't something that was there. So like I said, I'm not, I think any person, should have the right to whatever respectful or whatever, way you choose to live your life. I try to respect that as much as possible. Like I've gone to bars with people where everyone's ordering a drink. I say, look, I'll have a Coke Zero. And I'm good with that. And in fact, it's even better because, like I said, let's say if one of the guys does get a little tipsy, whatever, fine. I don't mind being the designated driver to get everybody home. So I'm not, but I find it interesting though, even in the bar situation, I can go to a bar and not drink at all, but people will judge me because I went into a bar. Like I know some very religious people that says you shouldn't even be near a bar. And I'm like, why? I'm not drinking. But you're saying even just to go in there, it's something. You know what I'm saying? And you got people like that. I know people who won't go to certain cities. I know people who won't go to Las Vegas because they say it's Sin City. So again, that kind of religiosity has always been a bit of a turnoff to me. Like I've never been that person, so that those traditions or just, how certain sects or denominations, how they can be so strict in how they carry themselves, in terms of how they dress, in terms of how they move in the world. And I've never been afraid to move in the world. Because my thing is Jesus went everywhere. Jesus went wherever the people were, that's where he went. And he got criticized too. They were saying, well, look, why he's hanging out with those publicans and sinners. And he said, look, those who are well don't need a doctor. The sick, they're the ones that need a doctor. So just if he was willing to go anywhere and be salt and light, I should have no problem going anywhere and being salt and light in the world. And so I don't, so again, I don't have these religious boundaries. I mean, look, I have my values. There's certain things I won't do. Like I said, I won't drink, I won't smoke, I won't put any drugs in my body. There's certain things that I stand firm on and I have my convictions about. I'm not going to violate those. But for some people, it's like, they need religion or they need this kind of religious tradition sort of to keep them out of trouble, so to speak.
So a couple things. I have never seen anywhere in the Bible says you can't go to the bar and have a drink.
Right.
It says even I had this conversation, and father has told me the way it's broken down is sometimes misunderstanding. I told him, what do you mean by that? Like, it says you shouldn't get drunk. When it comes to drunk, is when you get violent. They're talking about, because a lot of people usually get violent when they're drinking. Fights. That's why there's so many bar fights. If you're just hanging out with friends and you have one too many, for example, it's not really a sin, as long as you're not causing harm to anybody or to yourself.
Right. Well, I guess sometimes but I guess sometimes with that's the gray area, because you're saying not to. But again, what if you get into your car? You could be perfectly fine, nothing's wrong. For any reason, you get stopped by the cops. You could be .001 over the limit.
Okay,
and you could be declared legally drunk in that particular situation. So I agree. It's not about violence and things that makes sense, but even for people, yeah.
Hear me out for a second before you say anything. Hear me out. You're gonna respect the shit out of me now more than you did before when you hear this. I have my drinks every so often. I walk to the bar because it's down the street from my house. But let's say, for argument's sakes, when I lived in a different area, the bars weren't closed. They were about 30 minutes from my house. I didn't go to the bars and drive. My rule: 1 beer. That's it. Nothing more. And that's on a rare occasion. And I don't like doing that either. I prefer 0 drink. I've been at bars. People are buying drinks. Friend's birthday party. Like, dude, what'd you drink? I'm cool with Coke. Like, seriously, you're not drinking, bro? Like, no. Why? I'm driving.
Right.
Ever since what happened to Master Ray scarred me. Not gonna lie to you, boy. It scarred the shit out of me. He was driving home sober. He didn't do nothing. Drunk driver was in the wrong lane, hit him head on. Killed my instructor. He was clear dead on scene. So I know the chat's gonna blow the fuck up right now. I remember a few years back. Remember they were saying they were to put breathalyzers in everybody's car, doesn't matter you drinking or not. Remember?
Yeah.
I was for it. Oh, you can take my second round. I don't give a fuck about your fucking second, third, or the 20th minute right. If it saves 100 people with that breathalyzer, do it. I don't care. And it makes me laugh a little bit too. People should do this shit, because think about it, Paul. How many places, where you go, you can have Uber in literally in minutes. Tell me how long?
Oh, 10, 15 minutes tops. I mean, it's not.
That's my point. You don't need to drive anymore. And people keep doing that.
Right.
And when I go to the bars and I help my buddy DJ, I don't DJ, I help him pack up. You know what I'm saying? I just go there for support. The one thing I know, it happens every fucking time. Between 5 to 10 cars are pulled over for DWY. And I was joking with a cop one day. I'm like, I had one too many. I was walking home. They're pulling their investigation and go, officer, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt your intervention. I'm going home. I'm walking. I'm not driving. I was fucking with him too. He goes, how much you had to drink? Nah, I had more than I should be, and I should not be driving. He goes, you're walking home? I'm like, yep. And he asked me where I was living. He says, he makes sure I cross the street fine, because that's what he was nervous about. He goes, you don't really act like you're drunk. I'm like, yeah, I have too many. I'm not drunk, but I'm not comfortable to drive. That's what I said to you. He goes, I respect that. You were fucking with me, right? Like, yeah, of course you were. But that's my point. I wasn't driving. I've been in a car, drunk as shit, in the back. But I think the breathalyzers are a must in the cars.
Yeah.
One time I did get pulled over years ago. They were asking me how much I had to drink. I had a beer. Cop looked at me, goes, you're full of shit. I'm like, no, I'm not. Breathalyze me right now. He goes, you seriously? Well, yeah, breathalyze me. Comes out, goes, blow, 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 blow. I try it again. It didn't read right. Blow, 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 blow. Looks at his partner like, dude, he's being honest. He goes, okay. Why are you here? Because I was in an area I was at game land. What was doing there? I was having car issues, so I pulled over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to be on game commission area after dark because it's dangerous, to say. And next month I was waiting for a tow truck. The tow truck came, jumped in the tow truck, and we left. You don't even have a drink to have a good time.
Right. That's always been my thing. Or as like I said, for a lot of these people having a good time, they can't even remember the good time because they wake up the next day. It's like, what happened last night?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we got another super chat, a $50 super chat. Again, Anton, your wife's going to, she's going to delete you. So we keep doing this, but we appreciate you anyway. $50 super chat. One way I see things when it comes to religion, use your faith to guide you, the individual. Never allow anyone to call you out or judge you on false pretense. You don't have to quote the scriptures in order to be religious. Facts. And again, and that's what religion is anyway. I mean, it's simply a set of practices, right? Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, it's a self-discipline that one implements. But the question, I guess, is like, where does it come from? A lot of that stuff comes from a religious practice. But again, like I said, I know a lot of secular atheist people, but you could call them religious also because there's a certain way in which they go about their business and do things. I know a lot of non-religious Jewish people who are very proud to be Jewish, even though they're not, like I said, they're agnostic or atheists at this point. They don't believe in God. But again, when it comes to holidays, when it comes to traditions, they're very much for hosting gatherings and whatnot, because it's a communal thing with them. It's no longer like a religious observance, but it's the culture. And we also have to recognize also that a lot of culture comes from religion. That really culture and religion, I think, are in many ways synonymous with one another. And a lot of times what happens is, you may practice something out of a culture, but it probably had on the outset, it probably had a religious origin to it. But again, people forget about the religious part after a while. You just keep doing it just because to do it. Like for a lot of people, I'm sure Christmas is for a lot of people, who celebrate Christmas, who aren't necessarily particularly religious, but they recognize, it's a time for gathering, for giving gifts, for family. It's a holiday. But do they recognize, that's the birth of Christ, or do they go that far with it? Probably not. Or have a belief that it happened, and because right now they said like that's probably not even the day that he was born. And I think in the Orthodox, don't you guys celebrate a little bit later? Isn't like January 6th or something?
It's funny you just said this. Because I just had this conversation with my father on Friday night because I had to stop by the church, help him with his computer stuff. So we were talking. I go, "Yo, Father, I got a question for you. Which one is the actual date for, his birth?" He starts laughing like I knew this was coming. He goes, "Tekken is the 25th, like everybody else."
Mm-hmm.
But then why do we start counting a week later, New Year's? Because that's like, he goes, because with the way it happened is he was born on the 25th, like we know, Christmas Day. But nobody realized it till a week later, until the information went out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we counted New Year a week later. I go, that kind of makes sense, to be honest with you, back then.
Well, even then, that's a gray area. Look, December 25th is when it was started. Nobody knows. The reality is nobody really knows the day that Jesus was born. That's why I never say December 25th is Jesus' birthday. I say that's the day that we celebrate his birth. And I'll leave it alone after that. Because then you get people talk about, it started in Egypt and it started with all these other things going on or whatever. And they say, hey, let's make it, they're worshiping another God. Hey, let's celebrate Jesus' birthday. So we'll start Christmas then. I don't get into the weeds with that. I'm just saying nobody knows with certainty that it was December 25th when he was coming out. But even then, you got a lot of people who are hard line on that. To say that, if you don't celebrate Christmas on December 25th, you're being heretical somehow. Or the Orthodox, no, they got it wrong, whatever. Or some Orthodox may say, no, you guys got it wrong. I'm like, what difference does it make? The fact that we honor, when if you believe that he came into the world and he brought hope to the world, I wouldn't care if he was born in June. And again, it's interesting that the Bible even talks about that. Like certain people honor certain holidays more than other people, and some people every day is the same. One day is no bigger than others. I know people who don't even celebrate birthdays. I know Jehovah's Witnesses. I know they definitely don't celebrate birthdays.
Funny,
because again, every day, because like I said, every day is the same. You get up, you have life. That's a reason to be thankful. Who cares if it's MLK Day or this day or Independence Day or Christmas, or it doesn't matter. Just live your life to its fullest every day and then let everything else take care of itself. I know people who live like that. I don't have a problem with that. So that's what I'm saying. So the tradition, I respect it. Just like I respect, and I know in the black church, there's a big function called Watch Night, which basically you go to church on Christmas Eve and you're in church until midnight. Now, again, there is a historical tradition to that because, again, on December 31st, 1865, or January 1st, 1865 is when the Emancipation Proclamation came in. And people found themselves in church on that day. And it became a tradition ever since then. And again, I appreciate it. I appreciate the history of that. But now people look at, hey, you're going to watch night service. No, I'm going out somewhere else. Actually, I might be going out. Me and my wife go out to a club. They look at you funny. It's like, I can't believe you're choosing to go out to a club versus being there and watch night service. What's the matter with you? I chose not to go this year because I'd rather go with my wife but you're being secular at that point. Even though there's nothing in the Bible saying that I got to celebrate watch night or any other holiday or tradition. But people will look at you just like Anton was saying earlier because you choose to do something outside of the church walls or the church borders, that you're being secular. And I've seen that quite a bit over the years. And the more religious the group is, again, basically to me, it's about control. They want control over every aspect of your life. And they don't trust that you can go in and be able to rightly discern truth from error, or that you can go into a situation. Like I said, I can go to Vegas. Like we've gone to Vegas several times. I don't gamble. I mean, not seriously. I mean, I may take $5 and I'll stretch that $5 as long as it is. But it's not like, oh, there's gambling over there, and so I shouldn't do that because it's gambling. I'm not even there for the gambling. But like I said, I know people who will not go to Las Vegas because they have gambling there. Well, in case you didn't figure it out, there's gambling online. Gambling's everywhere in the country now. So you're going to leave the country?
You have gambling literally in Jersey where you
That's
live.
what I'm saying. So again, it's the logic. Again, a lot of this traditional stuff, it's limiting. And again, I get the fact that some people need limiting. It's the same thing as like if you have an eating problem, right? You can't just decide to go into a buffet and say, well, I'm just going to take just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It might be better off that you stay out of that buffet because you can't control yourself. It has nothing to do with the buffet. It has everything to do with you not having any kind of self-control. Like you said earlier, you can go into a bar and have one beer and be fine. Some people, they can't go within 5 blocks of a bar because they know what's going to happen if they get near there.
Bro, I know people, literally people, they have to drink at least every night. And most of them are Spanish people like that. Like, they're sick as a dog. And like, I'm like, dude, you're sick. Oh, this helps me. No, it doesn't. Like, I know a lot of Europeans say take a shot of ouzo or vodka helps you opens you up a little bit. I can see why they think that because of the it burns. I can see that, but it doesn't. It's not gonna help you like get better. It's not medicine. The best way is medicine. Drinking it like people use church saying, and this is where it annoys me a little bit. They have no discipline.
Yeah.
you telling me church is gonna learn to teach you discipline? You got to teach yourself that. Church is not gonna teach you discipline.
Well, it
Oh,
can. I
okay.
think I think it just depends on again. Are you like I said, you can sign up for personal training. They can kind of show you what to do, but what are you going to be doing when the trainer's not around? I agree with your point. It's a lack of discipline. But I also admit, I think some people need that surround them. I've known guys who they have a pastor, they have a counselor, they have guys who call and check in on them like every 5 hours or whatever. Because again, these guys were, back in the day, again, they were very reckless. And they put this wall of accountability around them so that they don't fall off. But you can still tell they're weak people. I met a guy, I went to this Christian conference one time, and the guy, he was actually on stage. And he was talking, and I actually met him afterwards. But the thing that got me most, what was troubling, I looked at him, I looked in his eyes. He didn't even want to look at me. I'm kind of saying, hey, I appreciate what you said. I appreciate your testimony. I appreciate all that. But he was so unstable. It's like if he was out of his accountability partners for a day, people would be like, well, where he is. And I'm like, how are you free? You're almost like a caged animal that needs supervision. Young guy, look good, tall, but he was a mess. But everybody was putting him up there on these stages and talking or whatever, but I'm like, I don't see a free individual here. I see a very fragile mind who at any time can go off the rails. And so I, like I said, so again, religious tradition can be of some value. I'm just saying in my life, it's become less valuable. I don't need to be around the church 24/7 all the time. I don't want to be. I don't even want to talk church 24/7. I know some people, they only want to talk about the Bible and they want to talk about God, and that's all they want to focus on and talk about. They don't want to talk about anything else. Like I told you guys with the fandom stuff, I can talk about any subject for about an hour. I'm a fan. I'm not a fanatic. But you have some religious fanatics. And if the conversation doesn't have to do with their religious point of view, it's not a conversation. I'm like, I could talk to you for an hour and then I'm out. I'd rather talk about the ball game. I'd rather talk about the movie. I'd rather talk about the music or the whatever it is. But I don't need to be in that environment. And some people will call me secular, or some people will call me that I'm lukewarm because I'm kind of in and out, but I don't care anymore. Because that religiosity doesn't define who I am. Like I said, I have values, and those values are very based on my faith. But as far as the religion, again, I stepped away from so much over the last few years. I took a lot of stuff off because it was only for it was for show. Certain titles, I don't even give myself a title anymore, because they have like stewards and trustees and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't even want that anymore. Because there's all these expectations that come with that I didn't want. And so I moved on from it. But I'm more useful and valued to my church now than I ever was. And I'm good with it. And I'm telling other people also. It's like, look, don't get so locked into something or to some traditions or what have you that it becomes a bind to you. And be able to learn from all other aspects of the world, whether it be secular or religious. There's a lot to be learned in a lot of different places. There's nothing wrong with that. We got a couple more super chats from Anton. Appreciate you again. $5 super chat. The reason why I enjoy driving Uber to make sure that anyone who's had drinks, they can get them safely. Respect for you for doing that. Here we have this one, INC Intelligent Neanderthal 2557. You had to come over to show a name, bro. But honestly, it's the best policy. Many people can be honest and tell the truth. Most people hide things and don't share what's on their mind. We got from Eric here. Again, some people blur the lines between being ethical and being elitist. Then we got another one here. Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate because, again, it's oftentimes it's believed to be associated with idolatry. Now, again, it's just in what it said, associated with. We're not even saying that's idolatrous. But because of that, this is, oh, no, we don't do those things.
Like I said earlier, bro, I dated a witness years ago, and she celebrated birthdays and Christmas.
Oh, really?
Both.
Yeah. Well, she probably. I guess she had her feet outside the door. Also, I know that's Jehovah's Witness doctrine, but like anything else,
and
you may not. Yeah.
Technically, now I go back to, what they call them, field service or anything like that, because it's a divorcee, and that's a sin in their eyes completely.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things she's probably excluded from, because of some of the choices that she made, but also some of the beliefs that she might not be diabolical. But I think that happens with every religion, though, right? Mm-hmm. You don't follow, I'm sure, everything Orthodox all the time.
Absolutely not. You know me by now.
The church that I belong to, I don't follow the book of discipline to the letter either. And I'm sure you can pick any religion in the world. As far as those who the true adherents that follow every tenet of the faith that they practice, probably not. But then there's people who, again, I hate to use the certain word pick and choose, but the idea here is this a religious practice that is required of the religion itself, or is it just something that people thought was a good idea and they made it up over time and we just decided to follow it? And I think a lot of times that's what happened. Traditions by human beings get set up within the religion itself. It might have been a good idea at one point in time, but then it becomes so much a part of the religion, you think it is the religion itself. And that's oftentimes a problem. And it's interesting, and this is one of the reasons I actually like working with young people, with teenagers and up. Because a lot of the questions I would get is, well, why do we have this tradition? And a lot of times I'll say because someone made it up and decided to put it in. Did Jesus say to do it? No. But why do we do it? Well, they just thought it was a good idea. Like, I'm honest with them about that. I don't say, well, we're the church and you have to follow these traditions. No, know what is required of you as far as, what Christ requires of you. But then know that man made everything else. And then if they made everything else, then you have to make some decisions in terms of what you want to follow or not. Got another $10 super chat from Anton. January 1st is very important to the Haitian culture. Yes, 1804, Haiti gained its independence from France. We're not only were we the first black republic, we're the first country to abolish slavery. Salute. And again, Black Man, again, he appreciates certainly the super chats that you always give to the channel. Really appreciate it. And what does he do after that? He gives another $5 super chat. Said 12-step programs take a secular approach towards recovery. Those in the programs all have a connection to a higher power.
What I was going to say earlier, I want to get my point out across before I forget. I cannot stand when people use religion, their beliefs, as a weapon. Because they know the shit on me. Oh, if you do this, you're going to hell. No, you cannot judge what I do. I'm going to go to hell or not. Only he can.
Mm-hmm.
You might not recommend it. You might say, hey, Pete, I don't think you should drink. I'm still going to drink. I'm still going to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
End of the day, I have faced judgment.
Mm-hmm.
My decisions. But when you're neutralizing a religion against somebody, that's not right, bro.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's control. At the end of the day, it's all about having control over various aspects of a person's life at the end of the day. And so, like I said, and I admit, I think some people need that kind of, if again, just like with the what Anton was saying earlier, the 12-step programs. Again, some people need that kind of accountability. If you could stop drinking on your own, you would. And so to have something that again binds you in. And you're right, a lot of those programs do have a connection. They don't necessarily preach a particular type of religion, but again, this idea of something that's bigger than you. All those are part of those programs. He's absolutely correct.
One thing I will say is when I'm okay if you need a reason to give you discipline. A lot of people are like that. Like, okay, this week is a fast for argument's sakes. I won't eat meat. I'm just gonna eat, vegetarian and stuff. The vegan fast, like I told you guys before, and that helps them. They help them lose weight. They're online, whatever that reason is. Like in your case, you're a personal trainer. When they're training with you, they know they're focused, and they're nervous. Oh, we're having Paul finds out I fell off track. I don't want to get yelled at. Focus, and that's great. But that's not always going to be the factor. You're going to be alone at times.
Yeah. For me, and first, I don't yell at people, but I do say that in those cases though. But you do live by consequence because it's weird because people do come up to me and say that it's like I fell off the wagon. Yeah, I know I was trying to lose weight and everything, but we went out and whatnot, and I ate like 5 waffles from.
I'll give you a great example. You have remember what we said? We put a little bit against. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm not quit smoking because of you. I'll be honest with you. I like you, but not that much. I'm quit smoking because I want to again. And Friday, I was at my bar. My buddy was DJing at a new bar. He goes, "Let's go have a smoke." I'm good. You mean you're good? I'm good, Frank. Like, his wife looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm trying to quit smoking, guys. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And like, they were shocked because like drinking and smoking goes hand in hand. To be honest with you, Paul.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm good. And one thing I want to mention about what you were saying earlier about all this with free will and stuff. I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak what I know. I want to make that clear to whoever's watching. When I'll give you an example where I'm going with this. When I was talking to Father Costadino when Alexander passed away, and towards the end of the conversation, I told him I'm going to get a tattoo of Alexander, memorial piece. He looked at me. He goes, "Peter, I got to do my priest duty." Not exact words, but I recommend you not to do it. But remember, in the Orthodox religion, you have free will to do whatever you want. That's one thing I do like about Orthodoxy the most. And when people ask me, and they're not religious, and they want to get religious, they don't know where to start, and I bring them in. They go to me. But one thing I tell them straight up, you can do whatever you want. You have free will. There's not like, I'm going to use Catholic, for example. Again, no offense to any Catholics out there. Like, you have to do X, Y, and Z. There's no rule. It doesn't say you have to fast every week. It doesn't say in the book you have to fast once a year. It doesn't tell you have to or don't. It doesn't tell you have to go to church every week either. You have the free will to do what you fucking want. I have to that fucking, you like that, right? Yeah. But you can do whatever you want.
Right.
That's free will. But
well, again, and I think again, from a biblical perspective, Paul, the Apostle Paul, not me, but the Apostle Paul talks about this.
No relationship, right?
No, not that I'm aware. But he talks about, and I these days I kind of like this word. Or I think you've heard me use it a few times on different shows on your network. He talks about like everything. I'm free to do anything, but not everything is useful or beneficial. And I would rather have the conversation with you rather than a bunch of do's and don'ts. I'm gonna ask you the question: how's it working for you? Like we had the show a couple weeks ago talking about marital duties and things like that and roles or whatnot. And like I was saying, I don't care what you guys do. If you guys want to flip the roles in the house, I don't care. I'm just gonna ask the question: how's it working?
If it works for you, it works for you, right?
If it's useful, then I'm good with it. So I may tell you, Pete, you probably need to give up smoking because, again, I think it may be useful for you, especially long term, for your health, for your respiratory, and all those other factors that go into it. Are you condemned because you smoke? I can't tell you that. But there is wisdom. And the thing is, and this is the thing. Again, the more I study this idea of wisdom is about right and wrong. It's about good, better, and best. There are better choices to make with your time, your money, your lifestyle. That, again, in the short term, you may get some enjoyment out of, but again, long term, is this healthy for you? And I just try to get people to start thinking about that. That rather than looking at the Bible or whatever as this do and don't book, is there some wisdom that you can get out of it that you can apply into your life and be like, yeah, this makes sense to me. And you don't have to be so wooden literal and beating people over the head with it. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea, even in the manosphere, to be having all these relations with all these different types of random women. It's probably not a good idea. Now, you could say, is it sinful to fornicate? Yeah, I can go there. And I can give you the scripture citing verse. Yeah, you shouldn't be out there fornicating with people. But my thing is that helping you? The risk that you put yourself at, risk for unwanted pregnancy, risk of diseases and things of that nature. Is it better? So even with the title of the show, even with the banner, and thank you, BMU, for the banner. I like the banner very much. Whether you're a long-time married guy like me, or you're the swinging bachelor like Peter who's got women on his left and right arm. In the long run, is it going to be better for you? Now, again, and you might be one of those G's. Look, I've known people who live to 95 years old, smoke 4 or 5 packs of cigarettes a day. It's not a guarantee that because you smoke that you will get cancer or you will die early. But is the risk greatly increased by that activity? Yes, it is. But it's not a guarantee. And so, again, that's kind of how I approach, whether you want to use a secular approach or you want to use a religious approach. My thing is it useful? Can I take wherever it comes from? Logic, wisdom, reason, faith, whatever it is it useful in your life and the lives of those around you? And if it is, then it's probably a good idea that you start implementing some of it into your life. Whether you be religious or secular. I believe because I have a personal conviction to believe. I didn't want to believe. But I had an internal conviction that made me get up and walk that aisle. And I can't explain it other than that. I don't explain my faith to anybody. All I can explain is what I did and how I felt at the time. It's not for you to judge, just like I won't judge yours. But then how can we take whether or not it's better to have these religious traditions or just to live this life that's separate apart from religion? Again, I ask the question, how's it working? And as long as you can do that, I'm good with it. Now, I guess for me, says the only thing I don't do often is go to confession. Appreciate that. I guess when people talk about the religious versus secular, I'll use an example here. One time I was at a religious event, and I played a song Open Our Eyes by Earth, Wind, and Fire at the event. Now, again, if anyone's familiar with that song, it is a deeply spiritual song. And in the song, in Earth, Wind, and Fire is, for the most part, a secular group, meaning it's not like they're not a gospel group, okay? But a lot of the members in that group, though, came from the church. And so I played a song, and I thought it was relatively well received. But then you had some of the ministers came up and says, we appreciate the song, but we rather that you don't play Earth, Wind, and Fire in the church because they are secular. Now, what they didn't know is that Open Our Eyes is actually a gospel song that was covered by Earth, Wind, and Fire. So the original song, I can play the original song. I'm just trying to find the name of the name of the original group who came out with the song. But for me, the question was there anything in the song that would have violated the church, or is the message of the song was what they were saying not true? And all the guy's basically saying is that God has blessed us with so much, given us hills and mountains and plains, provided food and clothing and shelter. Is that not true? And if it is, what difference does it make if it came from a religious or a secular source? Why am I going to disagree with somebody because they were a secular group? Now, the original song, Open Our Eyes, was actually a gospel song. I think it was in 1959, and it was by the Gospel Clefs. And again, one of the guys from Earth, Wind, and Fire, again, grew up in the church. Him and a few of his brothers grew up in the church. He decided to do a cover of the song, and it was one of the more popular songs by Earth, Wind, and Fire. If I would have played the original version of it and told them that it was from the Gospel Clefs, they wouldn't have had a problem. But because Earth, Wind, and Fire sang it, and they are deemed a secular group, they had a problem with it. There's where I go with, again, this idea of religious versus secular. Truth is truth regardless of where it comes from. I don't care if it comes from Muhammad. I don't care if it comes from Spock. I don't care where it comes from. Is it true? Can you go back into your books, whatever religious books that you read, and does it align, whatever is being told, does it align with what you're being taught? And if it is, then why do you have a problem with it? It's no different than if I said that 1 + 1 is 2, if a Muslim says 1 + 1 is 2, if an atheist says 1 + 1 is 2, if an agnostic says 1 + 1 is 2. I don't care what your faith is, it's still true. But you got some people, well, because it came from them, don't listen to it. Rather than ask the question, is it true? Now, if it's not true, then you can certainly bring that up and bring to bear why isn't it true and why you should embrace it or whatever. Now you can have this conversation. But because somebody said it came from this source, oh, well, that's secular. Don't listen to that. That's secular. I can't tell you how many secular sources of information, of entertainment that have shared with me great spiritual truths. You want to know, for me, some of the biggest movies that have given more spiritual truth than anything I've ever read in the scriptures? You want to know what one of my favorite movies is, Pete?
Please tell me.
Scarface. 1983. Tony Montana. Say hello to my little friend. That is one. Now, again, it is a violent, profanity-laced movie. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. I've even told people in church to go watch it because it answers a seminal question that Jesus asked. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but then lose his soul? And what happened in the movie? What did he say he wanted? I want the world, Chico, and everything in it. That blimp that came by and said, the world is yours. That's what he wanted. He got to everything he wanted, but what did he give up? He lost his wife, he lost his best friend, he lost his sister, and ultimately he lost his life. To me, that movie validates the scriptures. And so I would say if you want to watch a truly moral movie that doesn't have all the Bible stuff around it, but you just take a look at that movie and say, this is a great Bible teaching, watch that movie. And people would cringe if I say that because it's a secular film. But to me, it's one of the best. It talks about how obsession, how lust, jealousy, distrust, how all these things destroy relationships. It's like watching Macbeth. If you have watched some of those Shakespearean plays, Macbeth or what's the other one? I don't know. Roman. There was Macbeth is a big one, but there was another one. There was another one also in that same vein. But again, same thing. You can watch some of those Shakespearean plays. Gives you deep spiritual insight because it gets to the fundamental about, again, the failings of mankind. And how if you allow yourself to fall into, again, lust and greed and things, how at the end of the day, those things can destroy you. It happened in Macbeth and it happened in Scarface. But some people would say, don't read or watch those things because they are secular. I can't tell you how many songs, I just talked about one with Open Our Eyes, but how many songs have you listened to, Pete? They're not Christian songs.
A lot. I'll give you a great example. The song that I played in Deadpool and Wolverine. Was it praying something from Madonna, I believe is it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing religion about that.
But does it mean it's not true?
I never said
if it's true, then use it. I mean, I use secular references when I teach. I use secular references all the time. Mm-hmm. I take movies. I take popular culture. I take secular events. I take all kinds of things. Because again, people can relate to those and understand those things. But then what I can do is I can then take it back to the scriptures. Like, look, the Bible talks about the same thing. And some people will say, oh, well, the Bible's not really true and this sort of thing. I don't even get into that argument anymore. Because there are people who believe like the Bible's made up or is written by so-and-so and this and that, and it really comes from these scriptures. I don't care. The question I'm asking is what the truths, if you read Proverbs in the Bible, just the book of Proverbs in and of itself, this I will tell people to do. Just read one chapter in Proverbs every day. And then compare what's in Proverbs to any other book on relationships, on positive mental attitude, on personal development, and you won't find the same thing that's in Proverbs. Because it's true. When the guy in Proverbs tells his son, you better stay away from those wayward women. Stay away from those women, or they'll be your undoing. How many men have we seen in popular culture and around be undone by the women that they hang out with, that women they shouldn't have been with in the first place? How many times have we seen that?
Too many.
But it's right there. So again, you're going to learn it either in secular life or you're going to learn it in religious life. And so that's kind of where I am. So for me, this idea of secular versus religious tradition, I think at the end of the day, both can be crutches for you, or they could be hindrances to helpful to you. It all depends. Can you get something that's useful out of either of them? There's a lot of things I've watched or understood my faith better from watching like I said, with Scarface or Macbeth, watching secular things. It was a more realistic example that I could kind of relate to. And then when I went back to the scripts, I was like, oh, now I understand what they were talking about. And so to me, that's a gray area for me now. I don't think religious tradition necessarily is going to elevate you higher spiritually. And likewise, I don't think just learning something because it's secular, I don't think that's something that's going to bring you down to the gates of hell either. But we have to start asking, what are the truisms of whatever it is or wherever it comes from? If it's true, it's going to be true. I don't care who says it. That's why I can go to a Muslim. I can go to a Hindu. I can go with it, whatever. If they say something true, I'm going to acknowledge that what they said was true or what they said was wise. And if there's a disagreement, fine. I can respectfully have a conversation with you about it. But there's so many people that says, oh, well, the Bible's made up of this and that, so just throw the whole thing out. Why, when there's so much truth in it? So, so again, I don't go into these, these binary choices. There's a lot to learn from secular life, just there is to learn through religious tradition.
That's true.
But some people, they have we went to Comic-Con. I know people would cringe if they knew I went to Comic-Con. Why? I can't believe
I don't understand.
You went to Comic-Con. Go ahead.
I don't understand, dude. I don't understand why people cringe over this shit. Like when I told Father I was going to Comic-Con, he goes, you know what he said to me? Have fun. Mm-hmm. So enjoy yourself, dude. You work all year hard between, what you do for us at the church, what you do with the your full-time job, your mom, the network and everything you guys go. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but your folks aren't religious like that. I'm talking about religious people.
I'm talking about religious people. I'm talking about like Father, for example. He told me, not my father, Father Cosadino. Told me to enjoy myself. I don't understand when people were saying that and like, oh, enjoy yourself. He said to me,
because it's secular. So again, shout out to Braxton Snake Eyes 24 being here because it's secular. And you will see some very interesting things at Comic-Con. You will see some scantily clad women. You will see people in devil costumes and monster costumes and vampire costumes and all manner of fantasy and fiction and all manner of things. And I know some people will be like,
one thing.
Yeah.
When Father heard me, I may go out Halloween. That's where he says, "Oh, we need to have a conversation, my man."
That's another one. Oh, that's a perfect. I'm glad you brought that up. Because again, as I got, and you do have, again, a lot of churches can get kind of skittish because they say, oh, well, do you know about Halloween? It started back in the, times, and it was about Satanism and all manner of spirits and demons, stuff like that, or whatever. Oh, we should stay away from it because it'll demonize your children. I remember when I went trick-or-treating, it had nothing to do with demons. It was about getting some candy and dividing the spoils at the end of the day and getting the sugar rush from it. Now, again, I do know people, they want to get into Ouija boards and all kinds of, more satanic stuff. But again, for 95% of people, Halloween don't got nothing to do with that. But just the word Halloween is enough to say, throw out the baby with the bathwater. Don't touch it at all. You could be going to school. When we were in grammar school, you would go on Halloween dressed up in a costume. They let you wear a costume for a whole day. This one's an angel. This one's a princess. This guy's a knight. This guy's a superhero. And nobody said anything. But then churches got involved and stuff and says, you know what? We just need to just do away with it altogether. or call it something else. Call it Harvest Fest or something like that. Anything but Halloween.
I agree. Like when father found out I was gonna go out Halloween night, and I never go out Halloween night. I stay home usually, and oh, man, I got lectured my ass off. Like, Halloween is technically Easter for the devil. I'm like, oh, here we go. And some things he had a good point. I'm not denying that. Now he made me feel guilty on top. Then my mom goes, I don't feel good. I think you should stay home because not like her health was like she was just worried something bad was going to happen on Halloween.
Right.
I go, all right, I'll just stay home. Like Harry Potter is another good one. Like Harry Potter is the worst thing you can watch if you're a Christian. It's because that's technically magic. Magic we're not supposed to fuck with.
Oh yeah, anything that deals with magic, right? Disney films, right? What was the one with Mickey Mouse and what he's got the wizard's hat on? What's that called?
Magic. I believe it's called Magic.
No. The movie. With Disney, Mickey Mouse is in this. He's in this. He's in this costume or whatever. But I'm just saying, it's a lot of people say, oh well, don't do that because again, magic is demonic, so stay away from it. And don't watch any movies don't watch Harry Potter because it's got magic and sorcery in it. I think Eric said The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I think is that the film, Eric? Is that
Fantastic?
No, Fantasia. That's what it is. Fantasia. That's what it is.
Yeah, it was a
Fantasia.
idea.
Yeah, Fantasia. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of people that says, oh well, Disney's demonic because look at all of the hidden imagery in the Disney films. I'm like, really? I think for a lot of people, I think you're reaching.
Everything has a secret message. Harry Potter has secret messages. Freaking Star Wars has secret messages. Avengers has secret messages. This has a secret message. That has secret messages. I'm like, all right. Enough. Let me enjoy my pop culture entertainment. Let me play my games. And do me a favor, leave me the fuck alone. I don't.
There's
care.
another one. Eric points out Dungeons and Dragons. Ooh. Oh, you can't play Dungeons and Dragons because it's got all these demonic references to it.
Bro, look at the music I listen to. Metal. I'm a metalhead, and I made that very clear to everybody. I'm a heavy metal guy. Five Third Death Punch, Metallica, Korn. I can go on and on and on. I'm not supposed to listen to that. That is the devil's music. But if you meet most of these guys, they're more religious than most people out there. Ivan Moving. He's very religious, and he's very a big supporter of the freaking military. Doesn't make him a bad guy. I don't think the music we listen to or the entertainment, pop culture entertainment we like, it will send us down to Satan's doorway. If you
again, I say it depends. I think certainly music can fuel emotions, right? So let's and especially if you already have intent. So again, if you combine violence with alcohol, I know guys who would play before they went and did something bad. They would play Cypress Hill before they went and did something bad. Because again, how can just delete a man or you put one of those on or whatever, they get amped up to do stuff that's just like, But to me, that's something because that's something that's already in you to do. The music kind of adds some gas to the fire. But will a song just make you go out there and just delete some people? No, I don't believe that. And people I know have made those claims in the past. I don't know if it's been substantiated. I forget what the practice is that they put these tracks in the music that if you play the song backwards, it has some sort of messages to it or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. But again, people have made those claims that again I've never seen substantiated. Now again, is there music that's meant to be obscene? Is there things that is profane? My daughters and my wife, they're watching the Grammy Awards now. I've seen some Grammy performances over the last few years that is I would say at the least distasteful. But I just don't watch it. But is it corrupting a generation? I don't know. But I know some people they'll make those logical leaps also. And then they'll start calling stuff demonic. And it's interesting because a lot of the stuff that they're calling demonic is a lot of stuff that black people created. Jazz music was called demonic at one point. Rock and roll was called demonic at some point. Or rock music was called demonic. Now rap is demonic. Now, again, is there bad content? Is there things in there that I wouldn't want my kids at a certain age to listen to? Of course not.
It's funny you said that.
I think you got to be. I think you got to be, mindful about that. But it's just. But every generation is always like and said. There's something about whatever you guys doing is like the end. It's like everyone's going to hell because of this. Every generation. When rock and roll came out, they were saying the same things back then. When Elvis was up there swiveling his hips, he almost had to leave the country because of it and join the military because they were almost willing to throw him in jail because of obscenity laws because he would shake his butt on stage. But where he got those moves from, he got those moves from black people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Back then, rock and roll came from you guys. I'll give you credit everyone is due. And I don't know if you remember this, the barcodes back in the day. That was supposed to be the 666 symbol. They're saying, remember that? I don't know if you remember that back in late 90s. I think that they were saying that. Every so often you get this trend. That's the devil. This is this. That's that. Like,
well, to me that goes back to the 70s. If you ever watched the Omen franchise, that to me to this day is like, especially the first two, those to this day are still like the scariest movies I ever watched. And maybe with The Exorcist is another one. But I remember watching that stuff as a kid, and it just scared the bejeebies out of me.
I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, I stopped watching those kind of movies. Anything that questions my faith, I don't watch anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watch, and let me refer to that, not question my faith, that freaks me out to the point, like, no. Like, Paranormal Activity. That, I won't watch those movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They just freak me out too much. Like, I don't mind watching a good slasher like Halloween. I'll watch it like that.
Yeah.
But some of them, like, I think it would trading. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't go watch it. If you enjoy that, please go enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been a fan of the slasher, Freddy, Halloween. What's the other one? What's the other serial guy? No, Friday the 13th. Scream. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of those films. I didn't even go see Sinners. Which got a ton of Oscar. Now I haven't seen Sinners yet because again I'm not a huge, there's a few vampire movies that I've watched over the years or whatnot. I'm thinking if I've seen one, I've seen them all. But everyone's like oh go see. I haven't even seen it yet, but I probably should, especially since it's up for the Grammys and I keep saying Grammys for the Oscars. I got like a ton. I think I got like the most nominations ever for a film. I should probably check it out. But then I got just different views from people. Again, for the uber religious people, they're like, oh, you shouldn't see Sinners. It's a demonic, satanic movie. Shouldn't.
I think he froze, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So, to pull this back, it's a little awkward. I personally don't watch those kind of movies. And like he said, Center, I don't know too much about it to speak about it. It's just one of those things. Like, how far are we gonna go? How far are we gonna go with our music, our entertainment, our everyday things? You're back, dude.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to pick up where you left off, or when we finish?
No, I was just saying, like Sinners. Like people, like I've heard people say, "Don't go see Sinners," right? Because it's like a demonic, satanic film or what have you. And then some people saying it's one of the greatest movies ever read. They've seen it 10 times. So I don't know. So I probably need to see it just to kind of see what all the hype and what the buzz is. I'm just not a big vampire guy. At least not anymore, anyway. But it's probably worth. Look
at Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah, sorcery, magic, and whatever you want to call it.
I'm gonna push back with that. Oh, this. I'm like, I told you this once before. I don't know this priest personally. He's a Greek Orthodox priest, and he's a humongous fan of Star Wars. A huge Star Wars fan.
Mhm.
And that goes against everything that we personally believe in. Think about it. They're using the Force as a religion,
Mhm.
right? So he loves the fucking Star Wars stuff. The guy's like me. He owns lightsabers. He has, I'm not saying he has tattoos like me with Star Wars, but he's into the Star Wars.
Yeah.
If a priest can enjoy this, I think we can enjoy it too.
Right. And again, but at the end of the day, even in Star Wars, what are the prime central themes of Star Wars? I can use Star Wars as a redemptive tale because ultimately it's about the redemption of Anakin Skywalker. Take the Force, take everything out of it. It's about the rise and fall and redemption of an individual, Anakin Skywalker. And it's about standing up to evil forces in the world. Again, is there something affirming about that? Yes, I think there is. But again, I agree with you, though. Some people say, don't see Star Wars. So don't see Star Wars, don't see Harry Potter, don't watch Sinners. Now, again, Braxton said, I've seen a lot of these movies. I'm not saying I haven't watched these. I've seen a lot of these old films. I'm just saying that the experience was uncomfortable. At this point, in my life, I just don't like being uncomfortable. So I don't see them anymore. But I've seen, all the iterations. I've seen, of all these films. I just find, and I certainly don't need to see part 13 of it. I mean, how many Friday 13 movies are you going to make? How many Halloween movies are you going to make? And then the themes just got ridiculous after a while. Jason goes into space and it's just all of these,
Or fighting the aliens ones.
You're milking it, right? I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. He's this unkillable force in the world. Yeah, I get it. And people are going to act stupid and die in the film. It's almost like you know what's going to happen already. In fact, C.S. Lewis, one of the great writers and authors about Christianity itself. Now, he wrote Chronicles of Narnia. That has a lot of, again, spiritual imagery in it, and he got criticized. So again, this idea that, again, you have to live your life within a certain range or borders. I disagree with that. But like I said, they came after him. And he's written more good. In fact, I remember reading some of his content. His first book, Mere Christianity, that was one of the first books I read when I became a Christian because, again, what he did was he simplified it. He didn't tie Christianity to a lot of extra stuff, extra religion. He just kind of dealt with the core essentials of the faith. It was very readable. But he decided to step out a little bit, got into the fantasy space, and he got criticism for it.
And he should be criticized.
Yeah. Yeah, Sinners, like I said, I haven't watched it. I'll probably watch it before the Oscars, just to see the buzz. I think it's on HBO Max or something like that. So I'll probably check it out. But like I said, I'm not a vampire guy like that. Or watching horror films. That's just not my bag. I'm more definitely an action guy or a superhero, sci-fi guy. But that's just kind of not my shtick. But like I said, I may decide to check it out just to see, what all the buzz is about.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Like, oh my, yeah.
And listen, bro, I'll be honest, I'm not a big vampire person either. There are a few vampire movies I'll watch, like Blade, for a good example. And I'm looking forward to a new reboot and all that stuff. But people don't get it. You know what I'm saying? It's just entertainment. Doesn't mean like we're going to start sucking each other's necks off and drinking blood. No. The real Count Dracula, he was a horrible person. Let's be honest here. He wasn't.
Vlad the Impaler?
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't a great person, but he did what he did to protect his kingdom, his people. Okay, that was history. And what do I always say about history, bro? We need to remember where we come from.
Yeah.
So you like it or not, whatever.
Well, I don't know. I go back and forth on that. As we talked about in the past, I can understand to a degree, but at the same time, there's certainly part of what we know from history is that, again, losers typically lose their right to be expressed in history. That's why you have archaeology and that's why kingdoms have to be dug up out of the sand, because again they were wiped off the face of the earth. So I think that that sort of thing is I think also a fact of history as well. Certain things you didn't win, so you didn't earn the right to be preserved. And so, so again, I go back and forth on that a little bit in terms of, well, we need to preserve or protect this. Or even if you are going to do it, then put it in places where, again, you make it very clear. You guys lost. And you're in this place because you lost. But people trying to celebrate a tradition that I don't rock with to an extent. And I'll just leave it there. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. But again, we've been going here by $140 in. We can certainly start to put the landing gear down and start to land this plane a bit. Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, in fact, I thought the Dracula movie, I think it was back in '92. I thought they did a good job of that. That opening scene. I don't know if you remember it from that movie, Pete. If you saw it, where again he was a soldier. He was a guy of the faith. And he went out there and he slayed for the church and all that kind of stuff. But his wife got word that he had died, and so she deleted herself. And so he goes back and, he's distraught and stuff. And she said, well, she's damned, right? Because, she deleted herself. And he became outraged. I was like, I fought for you guys and I did all this. And now you tell me this. And then he was like, screw all y'all. And that's kind of how that whole Dracula myth, got started. But I thought they did a good job as far as, giving you some background on how they tied Vlad the Impaler to Dracula itself. Not just inspired, but he was Dracula. Yeah.
And a lot of people give shit for it. It is about Val Helsing. He has the church behind him, but he's chasing all these demons to kill him. Mm-hmm. Everything that we grew up on, like fairy tales that comes in real life in this.
Mm. Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good fucking movie, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Braxton, like I said, it's definitely on my list. I will check it out. Now my wife, there's no way she's checking that movie. I can tell you that right now. So I'll watch it, and I can give my 2 cents on it, like I said, especially around the Oscars time. And we can see about having a maybe we could do a review of it or something like that. But says Dracula translates to the devil in Romanian. Dracula translates to the son of the devil in Romanian. Interesting. Also, Dracul and Dracula. Got it. Thanks for the clarification.
They made some movies like it was like freaking Frankenstein's another good one, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who makes a human being like.
Well, yeah. I mean, all the stuff we're talking now with cloning and embryos and stuff like that. I mean, that was again another film that talked about ethics. Yeah, just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do something or you should do something. And so is bringing the dead back to life in the way that Frankenstein did it, even though he might have meant it for a good cause to promote scientific advancement. Was it the right thing to do? So again, there's ethical questions that we can, and that's why I think, go back to your English classes, what you had in high school, that you read Catcher in the Rye, or you read Dracula, for that matter, or Frankenstein, Shelley's Frankenstein, or all these books. All of these things had you dealing with themes and topics that you could take either from a religious perspective or from a secular one. But regardless of where you took it from, there were some truths that you got out of it that I think still applies to humanity today. When you're dealing with these raw emotions of people, I think Anton talked about earlier these seven deadly sins or what have you. Various religious texts talk about these things, and some of these things can have real impact in your life. So again, I think all these are good tools. They can be teaching tools, training tools. I think it can inform your faith. help you better understand it better, and also through your faith, you can also interpret things through that kind of lens. So again, I these days, like I said, I make very few distinctions between religious culture or tradition and secular. And I said, I think there's things to be learned from, good and bad. And I don't think all religious tradition is good. Or at the very least, I don't think all religious tradition is meaningful or have purpose, at least not today. It might have had purpose 1,000 years ago or at a certain time, but is it relevant for us today to continue with these things just because the church fathers said it was a good idea to keep these things going? Is it speaking to, and again, and we have to ask the question, Pete, that why a lot of young people are moving away from traditional mainline churches and the like. Is it because are we tying in? Like I said, I still think there's a lot of value. I still think there's a lot of truths that I think religion can give a person. But again, are we tying it to the world that they're in? Are we only talking about, well, the faith back in 1800 and something? You know what I mean? Are we making it relevant? And are we using the secular culture just like that what was done in the past? Are we tying the secular to the religious in order to reach and in order to have people understand that, you know what, a lot of the problems that a lot of Gen Zers and Gen Alphas are going through today is the same things that we went through. We just had a different way of doing it. But I think sometimes maybe we might be again, trying to relate these stories in our terms rather than relating it into theirs.
Because it's funny you said this because Father had the same conversation with us today in his speech. He was saying pretty much we need to push the younger generation to the church, not away from the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of older, like, oh, you go to church when you're older. You know, you're not there yet, or church is not really popular or modern now these days. Mm-hmm. And it should be the other way around. You should be coming to church, then pushing it away, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, I think there needs to be a balance. Like I said, I think the idea is about reach, right? Mm-hmm. Again, can we reach? I'm not saying again that the truths aren't relevant, but again, can we reach through the world that they're in, or are we still telling stories from 1969? Before social media, before the internet, are we making those kind of tie-ins? Now, again, you have RSVP 89. Again, meditation and lawlessness. Again, to me, it's going to be the same question. How's it working for you? Is it giving you clarity? Is it giving you purpose? Is it giving you true mission? Is it giving you discipline? Or is it leading you down darker paths that are even more dangerous? And if it is, then maybe you might want to consider this, but again, on their level. And use those things, meditation and whatnot. Okay, I want to know more about that. What do you do in that situation? And then if you do into meditation, how you coming out of it? Is it making you better? I think any practice, whether you want to do the religious traditional route or the secular life route, is it making you better? Is it making the world around you better? I'm not saying meditation is or not great. I'm just saying, and that even in religion, there's a thing called meditation. We're supposed to not only read the scriptures, but meditate on them. I agree with that. But what type of meditation are we talking about? And so, so these are things that, fortunately, we don't have calls come up to the show. We do have a call-in show. So again, Max 9639. If you're serious, if you're legit, come see us in a couple weeks. I know next week we're taking the week off because of the Super Bowl, so we won't have a show next week. We'll be on the week after, and then we'll plan a call-in show. If you're serious about having a conversation, so we'll drop a link. You can come up and share, but again, you got to be legit though, and we shut it down if people aren't. But you're more than welcome to be a part of that conversation if you have something relevant to share to the conversation. Voodoo is now a recognized religion in Haiti. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but again, all these questions, I'm still going to come back to this. Is it useful? Is it helping you? Every person is going to have to ask themselves that same question. And if it's not, then you might want to think about something else. And like I said, and you'll find that, again, things may be helpful at a certain time. Like I said, sometimes before you learn a bike, sometimes you may need training wheels. But there's going to come a time when you can take those training wheels off and then be able to ride a bike without them. And then you're doing tricks and wheelies and everything else. So again, I don't mind having some guardrails. But then there's going to come a time for question. I think with all my girls, yes, they grew up in I would say my household was pretty religiously traditional. We went to church every Sunday. We had them involved in all kinds of activities. They were in Sunday school. They did praise dance. They did a lot of things with the Connection for Young People's Division, and they did all those things. And I'm not saying that those things weren't useful for a time. But now, as grown women, now we start to get into the real. What is true and what is not. Those things might have been good, kept you guys busy. But now let's get to the real in terms of what God wants to do with your life now. And what are the things that are most important in life. So now the education can really start at this point. And trust me, they've certainly had their share of secular living. When they turned 21, all of them went out there and turned up. Some of it wasn't so good. And now they kind of come back and say, okay, I don't want to go so far over to this other side where, again, it becomes destructive. So now I got to come back to some balance. And I think that's ultimately what we're all looking for, is some balance. I'm not telling you what to believe, who to believe in. But at the end of the day, are we getting better?
And that's a question for everybody, I think. Paul.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your final thoughts on your end?
You said a lot. I think you covered most of it. Oh, man, where did I start? Because you did cover most of it. I think we are pushing religion so hard sometimes. We forget to enjoy life. We have all these things, don'ts. I got to the point like all these don'ts. It's not gonna give me extra years of my life here. So when I have, I'm gonna enjoy like going to Comic-Con, watching my Star Wars movies, watching my Marvel stuff. Not taking that shit away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not gonna break my values either. Except my Christian, that's a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I really have tonight. I don't have a lot more. Because you said a lot. I want to repeat it to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But that's where it is tonight with us. So again, this can be a gray area, certainly for a lot of people. How do you balance secular life with religious life, or is that boundary? Is it real, or is it artificial? And can both be useful in your total spiritual and personal development? I would say yes. And so, I could be labeled gray. Some people may call me lukewarm. But like I said, I use everything, anything and everything. I can use a sports game, a movie, a song, secular or religious or what have you. I use it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certainly been, I think, to my benefit, because what it also helps me do, and this is one thing I am, certainly proud of myself for, it allows me to embrace other people, to embrace other cultures, to have a cultural curiosity to see how other people are living.
Like us, for example.
Yeah. And so
The
it
show
gives me
wouldn't be
perspective that,
possible.
yeah.
The show wouldn't be possible if we both didn't have an open mind. I respect your opinion, you respect mine. We realize we both have similar values, but also different values at the same time.
Mhm. Yeah. It's true about the Amish. Yeah. They get 1 year to party. And then they kind of, it's almost like get it out of your system now, but then you're going to dedicate yourself to this very conservative lifestyle. I didn't know about that until I think I read about that last year, that they do
Yeah, I
have
know
that
that.
shot where before they settle down and get married and have kids and all that kind of stuff, they kind of live it up for a year. They use technology probably for the first time, but then they go and live a life where again, no technology, no modern advances and whatnot. Again, a very strict and conservative lifestyle.
They kind of started leading off with cell phones a little bit now.
Are they? Yeah. I don't know about vehicles though, like because I know a lot of folks who get to the farmers markets and stuff like that. I'm like, how do they get to and from? So I don't know if they're using vehicles now or not, but but it's just like anything else. Probably some of them are thinking, or maybe some more modern people are thinking, hey, do we have to really be this strict on everything? And so again, people are going to be making choices there in terms of what they can and cannot do. Or is it even practical or smart anymore? Like said, going back to driving dunes and buggies. Is that wise to do in the modern age? And a lot of these do's and don'ts come out of fear of something. Not necessarily that thing's going to be actualized or not. So again, these are things we have to be mindful of. But
The
I
only
want to
gift I
certainly,
can
yeah.
give to anybody, if you ever shake an Amish person's hand, please wash your hands afterwards.
Oh gosh.
They don't. They don't use soap. I'm serious, dude.
So hang on. So when you go to these Amish markets and whatnot, they're not practicing hygiene. They're not washing their hands between stuff. Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, because
But that's required by law, though.
What's up?
That's required by law, right?
Food. Yeah, they don't food. Of course, they're gonna have to wash your hands by law. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, like for example, a farmer like I bought Apollo from, he doesn't have to wash his hands because he's not dealing with food.
Mm.
By law, by the Surf Save and the DOH, must wash your hands between services. Like for example, if I have to, that's why I wear an Apple Watch. To be honest with you guys, you're not really supposed to wear an Apple Watch in the kitchen. You're not supposed to wear anything. So you're supposed to. Let's say I need to use my phone for some reason. I take my gloves off, do what I need to, put it away, wash my hands, put them on. If I need to do it again, same process. Anytime you gloves get removed or stain or rip or anything happens, you must wash your hands.
Mm.
The reason I allow Apple Watches in my kitchens or anywhere I worked is this is eat faster than changing your gloves, and you can just ignore it, or like I do sometimes, just hair your nose because it's easier to do that.
Interesting. All right. Well, again, we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Again, make sure you hit the like button, not only here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Go over to Sparta HQ Network. Consider also become a subscriber. Again, both networks have different sets of shows and programming. You can go over there and check out what each channel has to offer. And again, consider becoming a subscriber to the show and be caught up to date on all the updates and all the upcoming shows. Next week, as I said earlier, we're going to take a week off for folks to enjoy the Super Bowl. And the only thing I'm saying is, yeah. What's that?
Which team's going to win?
I'm picking the Seahawks. One, I hate the Patriots. Anything that's related to the Patriots. And plus, I don't want them to get that 7th Super Bowl to surpass the Steelers. So I want them to. I want them to lose because of that. So, but again, hopefully it'll be a good game, and certainly, hopefully, folks will enjoy the. So okay, so Max, you already made an enemy of. I saw you and Anton having a friendly conversation there, but now he's not going to like you because he's a diehard Jets fan. So again, so you're already you're already on the house with Anton already. You just met him, but that being said, yeah. But that being said, yeah. But Anton, again, really appreciate your super chats tonight, really, and everything that you do to support the channel. And for everyone who just you guys choose to again spend your Sunday nights with us. I mean, we get topics. Sometimes I may introduce some topics. Peter comes up with a lot of the topics, and we just have a free form conversation. We don't know what we're going to talk about. Outside the topic itself. If I get some time, I might try to get some stats or statistics on something because I like to do research. But generally, the conversations are free-flowing. And the whole purpose for this show is for people from very different backgrounds and perspectives. So, again, we call it the gray area in part, just looking at how we look. You got the black guy and they got the not-so-white guy, the Greek guy over there. And we have a gray area discussion. But it's also how to have a respectful conversation because we don't always agree on things. But again, certainly in these YouTube spaces where the algorithm rewards hostility and arguments and whatnot, we just want to have just a meaningful conversation, broad understanding, and really to show people how to operate in the world. And yes, we all are brothers, Max. But unfortunately, in the world we're looking at now, people are not treating each other as brothers and sisters out there. So again,
Max, I feel a little behind the scenes how this show got created before Spartan, for the Spartan Network, before anything. Was I got tired of the fucking racist shit, comments, the attitudes, everything. And when I met Paul through the streets, I approached him like, "Yo, you want to do a show with me?" And I gave him the idea. Two guys from two different passes can get along very well, be close friends, best friends, brothers, whatever you want to call it. And we don't have to care about color, race, background. Let's enjoy your company. That's how
absolutely.
Started.
Yeah, and we give each other the grace to to be ourselves. I never tell what Peter needs to say, and he doesn't tell me what to say. We just kind of come to this thing wanting a good conversation, and hopefully that we're better off for it. That we understand each other better.
My beard.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the one thing we'll probably never agree on. I have no intention to grow a beard, but he's part of the bearded. He's part of the bearded community. So respect though. But I like this mood look myself. But again, want to thank you guys for being with us tonight. And certainly enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Well, like I said, hopefully whoever wins, hopefully it's a good game. Most importantly, and we'll come back with a new series of shows, certainly in the coming months. And looking forward to keep this conversation going. So you guys, you're more than welcome to take to certainly look into it. Yes, I will try to stay warm. The single digit weather is not working for me, but I will do my best. And yeah, man, like I said, Braxton, like I said, I've done it over the years. Like I said, it's just not been my thing. I'm still traumatized by The Omen, by The Exorcist, Carrie. I'm still traumatized. The Birds. So again, that genre just doesn't work for me. So I'm just saying that I look at those things sparingly over time. It's not good for my blood pressure, but especially nowadays. And Edaman Williams, again, late, entry coming in, but I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you and the things that you do out there. Hope everything's well with you and your fam. For all you guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Certainly take care. God bless. And we will see you next time. We don't have an outro video anymore. It's a hard stop, but the Ghost of Sparty's got to get his closing in. So again, we appreciate you. Appreciate everything you do, and it's always an honor to share the stage with you. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Take care. God bless.